Hello. I didn't make a video last week, but I thought I would make one this week because I've got a few things I need to say. See. So basically, I've come to a decision about the competition, and what I decided is that while I am going to continue with the process and with the eating and exercising and keeping Johnny on as my coach and all that kind of thing, I'm not going to actually compete in the end in the competition in July. And it's been an interesting decision to make. It's been a fairly tough one to make because I've really been enjoying it, and I've really liked having a goal. And that whole process has really spurred me on, and I've seen a massive difference in myself. Like, I lost 3 kilos already. I'm, looking so much leaner, feeling so much better. I've got a cold again, which is not due to the process. I'm pretty sure it's just that it's due to me being a teacher and being around children all the time. But anyway, so I really enjoyed it, and I really want to make that clear is that I'm not stopping because I think it's been brilliant. And I found actually last week was one of my best weeks so far. But the reason I decided is because some of you might know this already, but I suffer from eating disorders, or I did for a long time when I was a teenager. And although a lot of my issues have been resolved because I've done years and years of, working on it and using exercise in a healthy way, and also using exercise in a way that lets me like my body for what it can do rather than what it looks like. So I do things like competing in CrossFit was really useful with that. I've run marathons, I've run 10Ks, I've done all sorts of stuff to try and create a different relationship with my body, and that's been very successful. And I've had relapses, slight ones every so often, and whenever I'm really stressed I will go back to the same old patterns, but in general I've made a lot of progress. And so what I'm desperate not to do is to jeopardise that. So at the moment, while things are going really well, and I've really enjoyed everything, and as I've said, it's going great. I'm still on a reasonable amount of calories, and I'm still on a reasonable amount of macros, and I'm concerned not so much about now, but about further down the road, because towards the end, towards the actual show time, I'll be on very, very minimal calories, as most people are at that time. I'll be doing things like, dehydration, that kind of thing. I'm sure Johnny promotes very healthy ways of doing these things, but it's still, there's going to be a certain element of, a severe cut towards the end. And obviously the weight you get to when you're at the bikini competition stage, the actual event itself, is not a weight you can sustain. The whole point of it is not to sustain it. You're there for the day, you're at your peak level for that day. Maybe for a few days afterwards, you're looking great, but the idea is you are going to keep going up in weight. You're going to keep gaining, and that's healthy, that's normal, because you can't possibly stay at that weight. And the problem, for some people that's not an issue, but for some people like myself, it might be a problem because the actual having seen myself at a certain level, that process psychologically could be quite hard, and I don't want to put myself through that, and I don't want to trigger anything. And there's also the element of, at the moment, I'm very, very clear and rational, and I feel great. And I want to make this decision while I've still got that feeling. My temptation in the past would have been to go to the stage where I'm not thinking very clearly because I've got too few calories. So to go down the road a bit further and get to the point where I'm struggling, and then say I'm struggling, but by that point already have done a certain amount of damage, or possibly even, as I talked to my mum about this, of course, and she was saying that she has no doubt I'm able to do it, and I can imagine myself doing it, but it's the aftermath, it's what I would have undone in the process, all the things that I've been working on for years that I may have damaged through that, and the habits I may have brought back. So I think that deciding now is new for me. It is a new thing to kind of think clearly while I can and decide at that point, but it's I think it's better. I think it's much better, and I think now that I'm 30, it's probably about time to start thinking rationally and to actually put some of the lessons I've learned into action. So there's that. As you get fewer and fewer calories, you do get more and more irrational, and I know that myself, and things start to become, you start to think in a different way, and I don't want to let myself do that. Another element of it is the fact that when you're on stage, you're being compared to other people. So I'll be there. So, there'll be lots of other competitors all looking fabulous, who've all trained, and have all put their heart and soul into it in the same way I will have. And all of us are being compared to each other. So it'll be, she's got better legs, or she's got better abs, or she's got better whatever. And the idea of that can be quite damaging. And I'm doing this for myself. I know that that's why I'm doing it. I want to feel like I look really good for me. I want to look the best I can in my body, and I'm not doing it to look better than somebody else. So that's another element, another reason why I think the competition itself is not a good idea. What I've decided to do instead, to celebrate my achievements and to be proud of what I've achieved, what I've done, is to have a photo shoot. So I've got one booked already in April. Johnny arranged that with a few of his clients, and so we've got that in April. What I'm also going to do is have another one in July. And the reason I'm doing that is so that, first of all, I can see a bit of progress, and also to keep that motivation going, because this competition was booked for July, or I say booked. I decided which one I was going to do. I hadn't actually entered yet. So I figure if I keep it going for July, then I'm still going through the process, and I'm doing it entirely on my terms, because although you can cut and do all that sort of thing for a photo shoot, and I probably will be a little bit careful about what I eat, I'm doing it just to celebrate the process I've gone through. So I'm not going to be, severely restricting calories or dehydrating myself or doing anything like that for a photo shoot, because it's for me. It's my body. I'm not comparing myself to anybody else, and that's the reason why I'm choosing a photo shoot over anything else. So I think that's a much healthier choice. And what I'll have at the end of it is obviously photos that I can use for helping with my personal training career, with just to have for the sake of future motivation, to think I've got this far, I can do this, and I know that I've done that through a process that was healthy and that felt good, as opposed to a bikini competition where by the time we get to the end stage, I know I've done that through a healthy process to begin with, but towards the end, a process that's potentially quite damaging and could cause some damage to my metabolism, if nothing else. So this process, I'm hoping, will be much healthier. So that's my story. That's what I'm thinking about the whole thing. So I want to say, I want to hear what you think about it. I do in some ways, but the quote that keeps coming back to me, which I think has been really helpful in this whole thing, is Dr. Seuss quote, which anyone who knows me will appreciate why that's a good quote for me, because I love Dr. Seuss. And basically this quote says, do what you want and say what you feel, because those that mind don't matter, and those that matter don't mind. And so everyone I've said this to, everyone I've discussed this with, who's known me well and seen me through all the different stages and seen through the hard things I've gone through with eating and my relationship with food and how I've progressed, has actually been really, really supportive, and says that they're actually, a lot of them seem to be really quite pleased that I made this decision, and they didn't want to stay, but they actually had been a bit worried about my competing in the competition anyway, and they think this is the right thing to do. So that's really good. And although I have a lot of contacts in the fitness industry, and I'm scared kind of about putting this out there, because in the same way, it's funny, because in the same way that all your friends get married and have kids at a certain stage, and mine are all doing that now, it's the same sort of thing about fitness in some ways. A lot of my friends in the fitness community are competing in these shows, and it's just the done thing. And that's one of the reasons why I kind of got caught up in it, was that I want to do this because everyone does it. It's the thing you do. It's a way of celebrating your success and showcasing yourself, and all those things are great. But part of it is knowing what's right for you, and I just don't think this is right for me. And so that's where I'm coming from with this. So I'm trying to be a strong, independent 30-year-old woman who looks hot in a bikini but doesn't need to show it to everyone. So anyway, although I'm not saying I won't show it to everyone on Facebook, because I think that may happen still. Anyway, it's been good to make this, and I would be interested to hear what you think, if it's positive. If it's not positive, then I would rather not hear it. Okay, hope you have a lovely evening, and I'm hoping my cold will go away soon. I sound very old. Speak to you soon. Bye.